Good evening, everyone. I am so excited that you can join us again tonight, wherever you're joining us from Africa, America, Canada, wherever you are from. I want to say a warm welcome and thank you so much for choosing to be with us tonight. I am your host, PMK. You can call me PMK. My full name is Pastor Mary Christilere, and I'm excited with what God is about to do amongst us today. Before we kickstart the program earnestly, I will want to crave your indulgence to please reach out to someone and say, Chat with PMK is live again tonight. So reach out to your contacts, your friends, your family, your neighbors, even your enemies. Reach out to them and say, we are live and God is set to do an amazing thing in our lives again tonight. And I have my very good friend, my guest for tonight, already waiting in the studio, whom I will be bringing up shortly. But before we bring her on stage, I want to say warm welcome again. And as our usual practice, I like to know wherever you are, wherever you're joining us from. So go to the comment section very quickly. Chat me your name, chat us your name, let us know where you're joining us from in Nigeria, be specific. If it's in the UK, if in the car, is in Canada. I am excited to have you on board tonight. And my own very first person to connect tonight is my dear daughter, Ayodele Christilere. Welcome on board, and we're excited to have you because we know we're going to be learning some amazing stuff tonight for our personal lives and for the lives of other people. So wherever you are tonight, please chat me very quickly and let us know where you're joining us from. Oh, fantastic. We have another person in the house, Amanda Guatu. Please let us know where you're joining us from Nigeria. Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome from our own land filled with milk and honey. Okoyemi Alfred is also joining from Nigeria. Amanda is from Abuja, to be very precise. Thank you for being part of today. So let's keep the comments coming. We have Ololade Ige from Lagos also. Adeshino Oladoyo from Lagos. Thank you for joining tonight. I'm excited. The chat is on fire tonight. We're on fire for the Lord. We're going to take this one. We're going to take the media on some tonight. Yes, we have a button. Oh, fantastic. You made it tonight. Welcome. Glad to join you. I'm glad to have you also on board tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have, yes, excited to be here. We are excited to have you as well. Ololade Ige, thank you for joining. Let us know where you're joining us from. Thank you. Oh, Adekunle Abiodun, my dear sister, Adekunle Abiodun. He's joining from Ogbomoso tonight. We have someone joining from Finland. Oh, yeah, Faith, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's my dear friends. Hey, thank you for joining tonight. We have Angela joining from Lagos, Nigeria. We have quite a number of people from Nigeria today. Let's have a lot of more people joining. Florence Adejumo is joining us from Nigeria. Joining us from Nigeria. We have someone joining. So we have a lot of Nigerian being represented. We have from Kaduna State. Fantastic. Thank you for coming. We have from Bayeku, that's also in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's keep the chat coming. We have 2 more minutes to do this. We are my UK people, we are my Canada people, we are my United Kingdom people tonight. I'm excited to have you all on board. Yes, we have Pastor Mrs. Oyemomi coming from all the way from Abeokuta. Fantastic. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you, Tara Banks. Thank you for being here with us. We are excited to have you, just like you are excited to be here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you from Lagos. Let's keep the chat coming. Let's keep it coming. Mrs. Oki is coming, is joining us all the way from Nigeria. Thank you for being here tonight. Flora Oki, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's have more people. Let's have one more minute. We'll round up the introduction, the welcome. Thank you so much. If you have not invited someone to join in tonight, please reach out. Reach out to your contacts, put it on your status, send it a broadcast message and say, we are now live and direct tonight, and God is about to do something through his vessels in our lives for us to be more effective, to live purposefully, to make a difference, to affect lives. We are here tonight. Thank you, Mrs. Anyongbai, for being here tonight. I'm excited to have you again and again and again. Thank you for being here. Yes, my UK people has finally arrived. Thank you. Thank you for being here. My own Kemi Ajao from the United Kingdom. I'm excited to have you. Let's have more people. We have 20 more seconds so we can make progress tonight. If you're excited with me tonight, put it on the comment section. Put your best emoji on the comment section. Your dancing emoji, the fire emoji, the love emoji. Let's have some fire in the comment section tonight. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming tonight. Let's keep it coming. Please call someone and reach out to someone, send a chat, send a WhatsApp message, whatever it is, reach out and say, we are here. Amanda is here tonight. I'm excited to have Amanda. Amanda, don't worry, it's an inside joke. Amanda, I'm happy to you are here tonight. Fantastic, fantastic. Oh, yes, the chat is on fire tonight. I'm excited to have you all. Thank you so much. Without wasting time, I have on stage with me tonight my friends that I've known for quite some time. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but tonight I'm happy and excited to have my guests tonight here on Chat with PMK. Can we just hear your voice for a few seconds before a proper introduction? That fireful voice. Please let them hear you first. Just a tip of the iceberg. Let's hear your voice.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Mary. I am excited to be here.
Woo!
And I see everybody here. You're in for an amazing time tonight. I look forward to the next few minutes when we get on board. All right, let's
Fantastic.
go.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope wherever you are, you're well tucked in. You're seated in your couch, on your bed, in your sitting room, in your car. You have your water, your juice, your tea. And I have my cute little cup with my chat with PMK also here, just to quench my thirst and keep this conversation going. So tonight I have a very interesting guest on the program. And I want to do a quick introduction show so we can kickstart, in earnest and save some time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm privileged to have this woman of God. I call her PD before her ordination. She's now Hardy. She used to be a pastor daughter. Now she's Reverend daughter. So Pastor daughter and I have known each other for an upward 15 years, but became friends about 12 years ago, proper. And I'm so excited to have her on show tonight. So as a way of introduction, I'm going to do a quick intro in 1-2 minutes, and then we will keep the conversation going. So our guest tonight is very dear friend of mine, like I've said, and we've been friends for upward 12 years thereabout. So she is a movement maker, a destiny catalyst, an empowerer. She builds a strong discipleship and church planting system for global missions. She is a prolific speaker, author, business and life mentor whose passion is contagious. I can testify to that. Initiating supernatural transformation in everyone that comes in contact with her. She is the presiding leader of the Dotun Arifalo Ministries, the visionary of the H214 Global Missions, and the co-senior pastor of Dominion House Discipleship Movement. with a vision to raise kingdom leaders and global harvesters for God's kingdom. She and her husband, Vincent, have founded a few organizations spanning from business and finance to leadership and mentorship, marriage and lifestyle, gender focused organizations, youth and children initiatives, empowering a generation for and kingdom impact and expansion. RD, as fondly called, is a broker of gifts. Oh my God. And an international conference speaker with an unusual gift of connecting with people of different ages, cultures, races, backgrounds, and circumstances. She is married to Vincent Arivalo, a vision partner of many years. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting time, can we welcome on stage Pastor Dr. Arifalo? Please give us your best emoji. Let's
Thank you
welcome her.
so much. Thank you so much,
Welcome.
Pastor Mary. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for
So excited to
joining.
be here.
Thank you for accepting to be with us tonight. And we're really, really privileged to have you here because we trust the Lord that God is set to do an amazing thing through you, with us, for us, and in us tonight. We
That's
know
right.
that the knowledge of tonight is not just going to be a blessing to us, but we're going to take it to our different lives, our
That's right.
different areas of serving the Lord, impacting a community, impacting an environment, and lives are never going to remain the same in Jesus' name. So, welcome
Amen.
on board again, RD. And I am excited, particularly excited to have you. And thank you again for accepting to be here tonight because I know that you're a very busy woman. You are a woman of many parts, and despite your busy schedule, you accepted to be on this show tonight. And
I
I'm
have
very
no
much
choice,
aware that
actually.
you have another 8 p.m. program going to hold immediately. And so we're going to put that into consideration and ensure that we release the honor before 8 p.m. so you can go on with the other
Thank you
assignment that
so much.
God.
It's always a pleasure being with you because I believe in God's mighty hand upon your life. So it's
Thank you.
always an honor and a pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman right here was all there with me when the Vision Blessed Above Women conference was
That's
birthed. She was, in fact, as a matter of fact, she was the very first conference speaker. And
that's right.
over the 11 years, I think you have had the pleasure of having you 3 out of the 11 years
That's
speak
right.
to us. And ladies and gentlemen, I can testify that this woman right here is fireful, is anointing full, is everything, Lord, full. I can testify to that. So we are
We
in for a
thank
ride.
God.
So fasten your seatbelt and let us go into this ride together tonight. So Harding, so tonight we're discussing a very important topic, and it's dealing
Very
with
heartfelt.
very heartfelt. Yes, very heartfelt. It's an emotional topic with for me, because for me, really, I've had the opportunity to witness this firsthand in my life,
Mm,
in the life of people that I've come in contact with. And I'm sure a lot of us we've seen that. Even if you're not privileged to see any other one before, I'm sure you heard about Osinachi, the popular
that's right.
Osinachi,
That's right.
Minister Osinachi. So this is a very, very topic that the church we need to begin to have conversations.
That's
We
right.
cannot we cannot pretend that this is not happening amongst us,
Mm,
right? And so I believe that it's time for us to start having these conversations and then see what God will want to do through us to stem this tide and to put an end to this monster called abuse
that's
in
right.
marriages. Fantastic. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start off with this conversation that we've talked dealing with abuses in
In
marriage,
marriage.
dealing with abuses in marriage. And as a form of start, as form of introduction, I like us to start with a brief explanation on what is an abuse.
Mm.
Pastor Dotun, what is abuse
Thank you
in my
so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I think you're so right. And when I knew you were talking about, or you wanted us to discuss dealing with abuse in marriage, I was really excited and I was really interested because, as many people, Now, abuse is not just women, it could be the other side. Men can be abused, women can be abused, right? But we also know that based on, physiological and the way things are, mostly when we talk about abuse, is on the woman's side. Now, I will define abuse as anything that infringes on a person's liberty, anything, any attitude, any action in particular, any action that infringes on somebody else's
Mm,
will, somebody else's freedom, somebody else's expression of who they are. Why do they take people to prison when they err? They take their freedom from them, right? That's the reason they take their freedom. Why? Because when they can take the freedom away, it's a form of punishment. It's a form of punishment, a form of deterrence to people, to offenders. So when a person's freedom is taken away in marriage, it is abuse, and it can be on any level. But that is my definition of abuse. And a lot of people are being abused without recognizing what they're going through. Most married women, in particular, most married women are depressed until proven otherwise. The
mm,
average woman, especially married, it's
mm,
amazing how people want to rush into marriage, rush into marriage, rush into marriage, and those in marriage want to rush out. The
mm,
average, in fact, I believe that if you don't marry rightly, you are better off single than to be married to the wrong person or in the wrong relationship. So
mm,
people, in most married women, have made so many mistakes, which we're going to discuss. Why abuse? Have made so
mm,
many fundamental mistakes that
mm,
end that at the end of the day, they're in abusive marriages and they are
mm,
stuck. And it's so
mm,
unfortunate. So that
mm.
is my definition of abuse, basically.
Thank you so much. It's interesting that you've mentioned the fact that a lot of people rushed into the marriage and they want to rush out because they're married to the wrong partner. But
Yeah.
I remember that at our last episode, we were to discuss abuse in marital relationship. But I've come to realize that abuse is so wide that it's
That's right.
difficult to discuss it in one episode. And so,
That's so
which is
true.
why we have chosen to break it down into little chunks. So we're starting with abusing marriage, and then subsequently we'll look at abusing other type of marital relationship.
That's right.
Maybe when you are in courtship, you
Bullshit.
engage, you are a parent in terms of child-parent
Children.
relationship. Those different types of abuses, we're going to look at them. But I am happy that you've made us realize that when you talk about abuse, it's anything that has to do with infringing on some another person's will of freedom.
Will. That's right.
Yes, and I also like the fact that you've mentioned that abuse is not limited to women alone. We
That's
have
right.
got a number of men who have been abused in their own marriages, but find it difficult because of shame to speak up and
That's
say,
right.
"My wife
That's
is
right.
abusing me, keeps beating me up." I mean, some years back, I got to know about a man that was being beaten by the wife regularly, and it was so shameful that he couldn't speak out. So I like the fact that you situated this very well
That's
for
right.
us to know that abuses are not limited to women alone. There are men who are being abused.
That's
Now,
right.
having spoken about abuse, abuse being an infringing on another person's will and freedom, and I also want to say that it also means that when you treat someone with violence,
That's right.
disrespect, right? You treat the person with violence, disrespect, cruelty, harm, or force. That's an abuse as well. But
That's
now
right.
we know that those are some abuse. But I want to ask, are there different types of abuse? Or is abuse
Oh,
limited to physical alone? Please talk to us about that.
okay. Thank you so much for that question. And I would say, you see, we talk about physical abuse, and this is the problem, right? There are so many other ways that people are being abused that we don't talk about. There's emotional abuse, there's mental torture, right? There's physical, which is the beating. There
Mm,
is financial abuse, right? Which is so common. Financial abuse. There's even spiritual abuse, right? There's even spiritual abuse. So abuse is is so vast. And that's why when I define abuse, now we talk about physical, physical, physical. Someone said, well, is he beating you? Is he hitting you? If it's not hitting you, then it's not a big deal. Just manage yourself. But there, you see, when someone is beaten physically, you have physical wounds. What about the mental wounds? There are many women that end up in psychiatric hospitals. What about the emotional wounds that nobody can see? When a person is physically paralyzed, that means that person's movement is impeded. The person can't do a lot of things. What about when a person is emotionally paralyzed? That means she can't get anything done in life. That means she's useless to herself, useless to her children, useless to the community. But people don't see that. You just see a woman, you're wondering, why are you not moving forward in life? Why are you not earning money? Why are things not happening? A lot of women have been mentally and emotionally tortured that they cannot even, they are no longer, they've lost their creativity, they've lost their ability to earn income, they don't believe in themselves. Most women get into marriage excited with dreams, but after a while, they lose their dreams, they lose themselves, they lose their essence, and they become useless. And I believe that sometimes that is the plan. When a woman is married to a man that has low self-esteem, that is insecure, that can't even imagine that my wife is doing well, that begins to see the wife as a competitor rather than someone that's complementing, begins to see her as a competitor rather than someone that God has sent to him to complement him, and by all means want her to come down. Some people derive, they call it narcissistic tendencies. And you see, we need to talk about narcissism because it is so rampant. Why? Because narcissistic attitudes are very African. I know we're saying things that somebody say, well, it's an African culture, has a lot of narcissism in it, narcissistic tendencies. When you call someone an African mother, you're actually calling her a narcissistic woman. That's it. When you call someone an African father, African men, let's call a spade a spade. There are certain tendencies that they have that makes us call them that. And those tendencies are the tendencies that resemble bullying, that want to suppress another person to derive my own glory, to make me feel good. Somebody else has to come down. But that's because a lot of people don't even understand the meaning of marriage and God's plan for marriage, really. So that's what I'll say so that I don't say too much.
Thank you so much, PD. Thank you for that contribution. We're going to come back very shortly to the issue of narcissism in
Yeah,
marriage. I want us to dwell a bit on that for like 1 or 2 minutes so we
great.
can move on. But before we do that, let's take a few seconds break and then we'll be back. Grab your water, reach out to someone, and then welcome back. So, PD, thank you. So let's go back to the issue of narcissism. I
Mm,
like us to dwell a bit on that for like a minute or so. We already have almost 25 minutes gone. So please tell us what exactly is narcissism in a clear, layman's language, so that people, our audience, can easily recognize this and understand what we mean by this behavior. Even though you're not a professional, but you can easily
yeah,
spot it when you're
that's
probably
right.
under such a marriage or under in such a relationship, and you can take the necessary step to come out of it. So please explain to us, what does that behavior, what does it mean? What are the
Mm.
signs? What do you see to know that you're under such in such a relationship with a person like that?
Okay, thank you so much. So, a person with, because women can be narcissists as well. They can have narcissistic ideas. Someone says Jasmine is on fire too. That's my dog. She wants to get in on this program, right? All right. So, narcissism basically is a mental disorder.
Mm,
It is a mental disorder. It's a mental disorder that can be in both men and women, right? That have this compulsive desire to suppress and oppress. They derive their joy or they get their kicks from somebody else being suppressed, right?
Hmm.
Now, when you find things like they are the perfect people outside, but inside
Hmm.
they're like a terror.
Hmm.
Inside, as long as they want to be at the center of everything, they don't want the woman in. Let's just use men because women have it, but it's slightly different. They just want to take control, take over the person's life in such a way that this person is eating from their hands. When you hear things like, my husband said I shouldn't work. When you hear things that my husband said I shouldn't work, sometimes it's not because the man has money, but it's that narcissistic tendency that wants him to be in charge. He wants to ostracize her from everybody else, right? And then he gaslights her. He uses words to break down her mental barriers, uses words to break her down emotionally. When you see a man beating a woman, it didn't start that way. It started with emotional abuse. A lot of words. Words carry capacity, right? Words break and words build. So it starts with words, with words to break her down emotionally. Now, when a woman is broken down emotionally, then it now goes into physical abuse. So narcissism basically is that tendency to cripple someone and make that person subservient to him. Now it goes with submission, right? It
Hmm.
goes with submission. And a lot of people don't understand the difference in submission and subservience. And
Hmm.
that's in between. That's where narcissistic men or women now take advantage of ignorance. So I'll
Hmm.
stop. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. Well said, PD, for that contribution. So now, let's start with some of the warning signs of abuse, right?
Hmm.
Some of the signs you can see. I remember some years back, I had a conversation with someone here in Nigeria, and that person was telling me about another lady that she got to know, right? And she said that this particular woman, every time she goes out of the house and comes back, guess what? The husband asks her to put off her undies and begin to smell it, wants to know whether another man had had any um sexual relationship with the wife. And it was like a norm. It had become so normal that this woman
He
had
was
no idea
obsessed.
that it could be that, I mean, this is an abnormal situation. It appears that we lost Pastor Dotun. We'll just give her a
No,
few
I'm
seconds
here.
for
Can you
us to
can
be
you hear
back.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Welcome back,
I'm
ma'am.
here.
We can hear you.
Thank you.
So I was talking about. Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard that. That he
So
wants to smell her underwear.
underwear to know whether she's had another sexual relationship with another
So my
out woman.
question, Pastor Mary,
Yeah.
is did she oblige? You see, that is the
Yes, it had
problem.
become a norm in the
You
relationship.
see that the woman herself is the one that is not okay. I'm sorry to say. Now, that is totally inappropriate. And
Yeah.
I'm not under obligation, under spiritual law or the law of the land to do such an obscene thing. He has crossed the
The
boundaries.
line.
And
Yeah.
you see, anyone who cross, everybody has boundaries. And it is my right to have boundaries. Some said it as a human being. I'm
Hmm.
not a thing. Even dogs. You can't just open a dog's leg.
Hmm.
You can't, no, the dog is not going to allow you.
Yeah.
So those are boundaries that must never be touched.
Hmm.
Even when it comes to sex in marriage, there has to be consent.
Yeah.
You can't take sex just because the person is married to the person. It is consent. If not, there's rape in marriage. And a lot of women are being raped. There's rape in marriage. He does not have a right, And you see, my problem, oh my God, Pastor Iswa, my problem is, why did she allow that in the first place? We are the ones, nobody can abuse you without your consent.
Yeah.
So
Thank
that's
you for
really the
sharing.
problem.
Yeah.
If
So,
if if I mean, anybody will ride a donkey that is available,
yeah.
that's the problem we need to
Yeah.
address.
Yeah, so this was just to buttress the fact that a lot of women, even men, are being abused and they had no idea it's an abuse because it
That's
has
true.
become the norm. They had
The
no
norm.
idea that this is wrong. They've been so much subjugated that they had no idea that things could be different. I could live a better life. I could live a normal life because it has always been like that. And that is
That's
one of the
right.
reasons why we're bringing this conversation forward so that where you need to get help, you will get help. Where you need
That's
to
right.
get counseling, you will get counseling. Whatever step you need to take for you to have your sanity back and to have some normalcy back, you will take
That's
such
right.
steps. Right. So we're talking about the signs of being abused. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
How do you know if you are being abused or someone is being abused around you? Yeah.
Okay. So how do you know? Let's talk about how do you know if you are being abused. Now, the truth of the matter is, you see, first of all, right? Anything that makes you, first of all, uncomfortable.
Mm,
Just like I was saying, boundaries. Now, anything that makes me uncomfortable, right, is it's a sign that I should really ask myself what exactly is going on. If I say no to something, but I have to say yes. And you see, we can't talk about the signs of abuse without going back to our background. We all come from backgrounds, and that's the problem. A lot of people have had they've seen abuse in their parents' marriages. So they've seen the father beating the mother. They've seen the father doing stuff to the mother, ill treating the mother. It has become a norm. So now she's married and she's experiencing those things, and she assumes it's okay. Number one, if someone, what is an abuse? I've had to counsel so many, so many, so many. First and foremost, when you have to ask for permission to breathe, is abuse. When a person finds it, when a man is not comfortable with your individuality, we are married, but we are two individuals that are married. Marriage is not it's not the combination of half plus half equals one. It may be right in mathematics, but when it comes to marriage, one plus one equals one. That is one whole person marrying one whole person, one individual marrying another individual. When they come together, then they become one, right? They become one. So anything that infringes on my freedom of expression. I've seen many women,
mm,
you can't, as little as you can never do anything right. You can never do anything right. You can never, your ideas are not okay. I've seen
mm,
cases where the man in public say, oh, wow, my wife is amazing. At home, is that you're not too great. Somebody said, you
mm.
see this dirty rag. This dirty rag is more, it has more worth than you. So
Oh my God.
abuse, it starts when you see someone that was lively, all of a sudden, the person is withdrawn. All of a person, the person loses color. The person is
Mm,
not blossoming. I like to see the
mm,
woman like the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit thrives and all of that in an environment that is conducive. But when the environment is not conducive, it's as if the Holy Spirit is so withdrawn that it's as if it's not in a place.
it's
That's the way
stifled.
women are. When a
Mm,
woman that was once bubbly becomes subdued, becomes withdrawn, has lost her passion for life, lost her vision, it can no longer talk, that is abuse. In fact, if
mm,
you want to talk about abuse here, we will not finish. When
mm,
when a woman does not, when a woman needs to ask for permission to do everything. Now,
mm,
we need to go back to how it was. A woman is not subservient. When God says women submit, what is it saying? It's saying you've got the power, but be
mm,
intentional. Submit
mm,
it. Intentionally. Submission does not mean now I do not have lost my right. I've lost my right to my individuality. You see, there's no marriage in heaven. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a destiny. When we stand before God, we all have to answer, not as a couple, not as a family, but as an individual. Did you fulfill your purpose? So anything that makes me feel like I don't, oh, my job is just family. My job is just to cook. My job is just to do this. And then you do it, it's not good enough. Nothing is ever good enough. Why is it never good enough? So that you lose your self esteem. When a woman loses her self esteem, you are good for nothing again. You are
Mm.
good for nothing again. So when someone is withdrawn, sometimes a man tells a woman, you can't reach out to your family members. Ostracizes her from her friends, from families. You can't go out. You can't do this. My husband said, I know a couple. The wife was not even, he told the woman to stop working, take care of the kids, stop working. She stopped working. He refused to give her money. If she needs to buy sanitary towel, she has to ask. So he
Mm.
knows that's control. A woman that doesn't have money is a slave. I'm sorry. Why? Even if your husband treats you well, you're still a slave because you have to beg. You have to always ask. You cannot produce value. So she has to ask him for, if she needs to go out, she has to ask 3 days in advance. She's not allowed to go to the market. He does not give her shopping money. He gives the house help or somebody else to go shop for the house. If he loads the fridge with goodies, nice things, she's not allowed to eat it. She's not allowed to put on the generator except the children need it. She's not allowed to use the driver and the car except to take the kids to school with the driver. I mean, what do you call that, Pastor Mary?
Hmm.
What do you call that?
Hmm.
And you see, every abuse. Now he never used to beat her, but he was killing her slowly with words, with words.
Hmm.
She couldn't pray. She couldn't leave the bed except he got up from the bed. If he's going to sleep, she must go to bed.
Oh my God.
But that's because when I investigated, that's the same thing that the parents did. He was just replaying. We don't do what our parents say. We do who they are. What you
Hmm.
have been programmed to see, that's what you be. That is, thank you, first degree abuse. So you know what I told her? I tell people, nobody can abuse you without your permission. Nobody can and I always tell people, I will advise you, don't stay in an abusive relationship, especially when it comes to physical. But if it's still emotional, come on, you can take charge. Guess what I told her? I taught her something. I said, first of all, no fighting, no problem. First of all, go and get your own generator, a small gen. Do your business. Second of all, stop asking for permission. Stop asking for permission. Thirdly, when you want to go to bed or when he's going to bed, tell him, I am busy. I will catch up with you. Then, secondly, make your money. Buy your own stuff in the fridge. Do your own thing. Do you know after a while, this guy started calling me? I refused to pick up the call. He started calling me, wanting to report her that she has now grown wings. She has now grown wings. I refused to pick up his call. But do you know, she got her freedom. She started her business. Her business started doing well. After all, his business began to crash. She started doing well. Not just that, on her 40th birthday, he bought her a Jeep. He started appreciating her. He started, she turned the table around. She stopped being afraid. In fact, I now told her, you're not going to work from home anymore. Go get a place, even if you have to go and borrow an office, and tell him,
Hmm.
I now have an office outside the home. I'm going to be working from outside the home. After a while, when he saw he couldn't control her again, he started to, as usual, started to make noise, started to talk. But she just kept on doing her own thing. She kept doing her own thing. After a while, the guy had to surrender. The guy had to begin to respect her. And today they're both happy. Today
Fantastic.
they're both happy.
Fantastic. Thank you for that contribution, and I'm sure that our audience listening, and if you're in any abusive relationship and that has been normalized, I'm sure you're beginning on to understand that abuse goes beyond the physical. It could be emotional. It could be
Which is
digital. It
worse.
could be,
Which is
yeah, it could be
worse.
stalking. People are being stalked by their own spouse. Stalk you on your social media, stalk you, and put a tracker on your phone, put a tracker to know what's going on in your life. So we need to begin to talk about this, and I'm glad that we started the platform to be able to talk about these things. So we've spoken about some of the signs we can see when it comes to abuses. Now
Yeah.
let's talk about how can we encourage people who are being abused to speak up.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
you're going through an abuse, you're beginning to recognize some of the signs, right? You're beginning to understand that, oh, this is not normal. Yeah, even though it was normal with my parents, but this
That's
is not
right.
how a marriage is supposed to be like. And I'm afraid to speak up. So, how do we encourage people who are being abused, first of all, to speak up? Or maybe you see someone around you that is being abused. What do you do about such an information or revelation? Someone being abused or you are being abused. How do we encourage people to talk about these things?
Thank you so much. I think first and foremost, Pastor Mary, we all need to be sensitive. We all have a big problem. The society has a big problem. The church has a big problem. I think the first thing is to remove the stigma. Remove the stigma from all of these things. Remove the stigma from, the home. A wise woman builds her home. So no matter when a home is not good, is the woman. When everything is bad, is the woman. When there's a bad child, is the woman. When there's a good one, do you understand? So I think if we first of all take away the stigma from women that are being abused, from women, and what do I mean by taking away the stigma? To say that as a woman, you're not a second class citizen. When people know they can feel safe in the society or in the church or with somebody, when they understand that you are not going to tell them die there.
Hmm.
The husband's house is a school. When they know you're not going to be religious about it, then because you see, lots of women have spoken and nobody could help them.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, the pastor will say, don't worry, just be praying. Go to the war room, just pray, he will change. And then
Hmm.
we've seen many people die. And that's when you said, Osinachi. Why didn't Osinachi talk? Now she's gone, everybody's talking. The truth of the matter is, she had left him, everybody would have talked. They would have said, she's a minister of God. How can she leave her husband? You will stay there. You will die there. It's better to die there. But now that she died there, people are talking, why didn't she leave? So, first of all, we need to remove that stigma. Then second of all, women need to be empowered, Pastor Mary. Women need to be empowered. It takes an empowered woman to make empowered decisions.
Hmm.
A story. I had a protege who attended, my business school sometime so many years back. And this woman for 20 years, she was violently abused. Her
Hmm.
parents told her to even leave. Because that's another problem. As parents, as family, when a woman has family support, she's bolder. She's able to take a decision. She's able to
Hmm.
speak up. But when there's nowhere to go, she's not financially empowered. The family is not financially empowered. So they say, just go back to your husband's house. You will not bring shame to us. Go back to your husband's house. The church says, oh, yes, it's a stigma. You can't go back to your husband's house because nobody wants trouble. Everybody wants pseudo peace. That's where the problem is. I think every woman needs to be empowered. So this woman for 20 years, she was in trouble. He will beat her so bad, he will yank off her braids, blood everywhere. The sons will have to mop up the blood. They'll
Oh
have
my.
to admit her at the hospital, and
Hmm.
yet she will go back. But by the time she was telling me she had completed her studies with us, I was so mad. I said, is it still happening? Because I was ready to go and fight. Is it still happening? She said, no, it stopped. Why did it stop? I said, what happened? She said, when she went to school and got empowered, somehow he couldn't beat her anymore. He saw she had changed. He saw that sense of personhood. He saw that she was no longer looking down. She saw that her hope was alive. Her dream was alive. She was dreaming again. He knew that. Do you have, my question is, why are empowered women not beaten, not slapped?
Hmm.
Why are women that are economically empowered, mentally empowered, not being beaten? Because she has a game on. She has a game on. And that's so women need to be empowered. Secondly, women, we need to make women feel like for a woman to speak up, for a woman to say, I want to leave my husband because he's beating me or he's abusing me and all. Can we give her, can we help her? Women don't want to leave. Women cling. Women love with everything they have. So if a woman that has kept quiet for a long time dares to open up her mouth to say, I want to leave, don't judge. Can we be empathetic? I understand. It is well. I understand. Instead of saying, you want to leave your husband's house. What will people say? And then she goes mute again because we are now pronouncing her fears. So if the church will become a safe place, right? If the church will become a safe place for women that are being abused and they know that I can always run to the church. I can always talk to my pastor and I'm going to be safe and he's not going to be able to hurt me. I can always go to my home. My father believes in me. I saw something, an Indian whatever on YouTube once. The woman that was coming, leaving her husband's house, and the family threw a party. I loved it because they removed the stigma. Is it not better for her to come back home than to die in her husband's house when a man is beating, beating, beating? So I think if we can, if we can subpedal on our judgment, you are not in her shoes. You don't understand her pain. You don't know what she's going through. A
Mm.
woman will endure for as long as she can no longer until she snaps. And then when she sees I'm about to lose my mind, she cries out to say, I need help. But you know what we do? We push her right back into the lion's den. And then, when that happens, what we're saying is, it's okay, you can just finish her and kill her. So if we will be empathetic, if we will be understanding, if we'll reduce the judgment, if we will make you, if you're a friend, make her feel like you're a safe place. As a
Mm.
church, we make the church, we don't judge, we don't subjugate, and we don't also make women that have left feel less than human, so that
Yeah.
all the other ones that have issues will feel like if I have to make a decision, I'm not going to be ostracized like the other women that have been ostracized.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pastor Dotun. And I like that. I like the line of thought. So now let's talk about the men as well. So a man that is
Yeah,
that is being abused in the home, but probably because of societal norm and societal stance, feels very shameful to talk about it. How do we encourage such a man to also speak? Because men also, there are a few men that are also
very
being
true.
abused. Yeah. So in
You're
one
so
minute,
right.
time is going. That's one. Two, if you have any question, audience, please feel free to drop them on the comment section so we can quickly address them before we close for the day. So 1 minute, ma. How do we help
Right.
men also who are being abused? How do we help them to come out
My
of this?
question, how did they get there? Abuse just doesn't start in one day. And that's why I will say, first of all, I think if we're talking to believers, I think we need to have systems in place for counseling.
Yeah.
So now before the physical abuse or whatever abuse, you must have someone that can speak to her. Someone that can speak to her. Do you understand? And then he's the man. Now, when you find a man being abused, the issue is deeper than what we're talking about. It's
Mm,
deeper than the surface, right?
mm,
Why? Because he doesn't need to take it. He doesn't need to be there. He doesn't
mm,
need to accept that. So if when you say a man is being abused and he can't talk because of shame, he doesn't need to wait until he's been abused. There are many systems in place that he can because he's not violent. There are many systems. There's the pastor, there's the family, there's the parents. So he doesn't have to take it. And the truth of the matter is, the way we look at these things as if, oh my God, you're just so stuck. You're just so stuck. You're just so stuck. No, nobody has a right to abuse another human being. And when
mm,
that happens, what I will say, if there's a man like that, I will say, first of all, you know, accept the pain you're going through is more tolerable than opening up for help. You don't need, he married her. He married her. So he doesn't have to stay in that marriage. He doesn't have to stay, he doesn't have to be abused. He doesn't have to stay in an abusive, nobody should stay in an abusive relation. We're not talking about divorce here. Where the first thing you do is take yourself out of that situation. Go into safety and then deal with it from outside. That's what
Thank
I
you.
was saying.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I love the fact that you ended that conversation about the issue of divorce. Because we're looking at this from the Christian perspective. So a lot of people are looking at how do we balance the what the scripture says about the sanctity of marriage vis-a-vis
Yeah.
responding to abuse. How do we strike a balance without going against the scriptures, right? How do
Mm.
you still keep what the scripture says in mind about God hates abuse, God hates divorce, and then still talk
Yeah.
about how to get help for the person that is being abused. So how do you strike a balance? Or what exactly are we talking about when we say go out of that relationship first? Are we
Yeah.
talking, so let's be a bit specific about that in 1 minute so we can quickly deal with
Okay.
the questions.
Questions. All right. I'll say first, when I say take yourself out of that situation, separation, there's something called separation, right? So if there's an abusive situation that is persisting, that is not responding to help, external, internal help, the first thing is to get out of that situation. Find somewhere else to go, and then you can deal with it from outside. That's number one. Now, the issue of divorce. It's not every situation that ends in divorce, but I
Mm,
will not lie. There are some situations that should divorce. That's the truth. God hates divorce, but so does God hate many things.
mm.
So does God hate
Against
many
violence.
things.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that God hates it does not mean God also wants to lose you. God, you see, don't let's put the principle above people. For God so loved the world that he gave his son to die for the world, not to die for principles. In fact, the scripture makes us that God took away the law and brought
Mm,
another law of love,
mm,
forgiveness. He took
mm,
away the written law. So, yeah,
mm,
divorce, God does not like divorce, but God would rather that you divorce and set yourself free than to be in a marriage that is useless. Don't
mm.
forget, we were created to fulfill a purpose, not to get married. So that someone is divorced does not mean the end of the world. You see, a living dog is better than a dead lion or a maimed one.
Mm.
So that's what I will say.
Thank
Separation,
you.
get yourself out of the situation and
Mm.
let's work it out from outside. If it now does not work and it gets to a situation where you need to divorce, because it's not everyone that you need to divorce, but there are some you have to say, please, you need to leave completely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good. I love the response. So the next question, and I want to tie it to some of the questions that have been dropped on the group is this. So how can churches or religious organizations, Christian organization, community support victims of abuses, while fostering healing and accountability and not compromise the
Mm.
requirements of the scriptures? Because one of the questions I've just seen is that in some churches, there are rules against a divorced person or a separated person taking Holy Communion.
Very
Okay,
true.
how do we balance this? How do
We
we balance?
can't balance.
Yeah.
It's either we believe in freedom and liberty or not. And that's the truth. We can't change the doctrines of some churches. That's what they believe, right? But it does not make it right either.
Right.
It doesn't make it right.
Hmm.
So, um, yes, it's so real. A lot of women have suffered, a lot of women have lost their destinies because they had no choice but to leave.
Hmm.
And everybody feels like, well, you are divorced, so you're ostracized. You can't fulfill your destiny, you can't take communion, you can't serve, you can't get on the pulpit because you're divorced. The children of the divorced woman is treated like there's something wrong with you. Oh, you
Hmm.
can't marry because your parents are divorced. Now, we cannot change other people's doctrines or we can't change other people's minds, right?
Hmm.
We can only speak for ourselves And if we are in a position of
Mm.
leadership, to speak up. I think churches need to speak up against abuse and
I
not
agree.
close our eyes to it. I
Mm.
think, you see, I started something for men. I call it Man Cave.
Mm.
Because who is talking to the men? I think men need mentorship. A lot of men have been broken by daddy issues, and that's the
Mm.
source. Men are foundations, men are sources. When the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do?
Mm.
And the devil is against men. The devil is destroying that thing, that that bond between fathers and sons. The devil is destroying that thing where a man is already broken, but because men are not allowed to cry, men, women will talk. Men, they internalize it, and then they grow up and do the same thing they saw their fathers do that they
Mm.
hated. And they do, and they find themselves, because of programming, they find themselves doing the same thing. So the first
Mm.
thing is, men need mentorship. We always have, if you check out how the people on this call now, I'm sure it's 90 something percent women.
Women.
Where are the men? Who is
Mm.
talking to the men? Who is training the men how to treat women, how to behave? All men have is what has been passed down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we are in Africa. Africa has this masculine thing, right? That a man is superior to a woman. Women are just good for nothing but have kids, cook, serve the man. Your job is just to serve the man. The question as a woman is, if a man needs a cook, it's better he gets a cook.
Mm.
He doesn't need a wife. If he needs a sex partner, he doesn't need a wife. He just needs a sex partner. Do you understand? So,
Mm.
a lot of things are fundamentally wrong that must be corrected from the church. At least
Mm.
we have access to that. They fear God. Can we now
Yeah.
use that fear to help them reprogram and teach them how to behave and hold them
Fantastic.
accountable?
Fantastic. 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 Thank you. So good. So basically, we need to normalize the conversation in the church.
That is so
We
true.
have to speak to the pew regularly. We cannot keep burying our head in the
Sand.
sand, and believe that everything is okay. If we don't talk about it, it means it is not happening. It is happening, guys. Guess what? It is happening, and our pastors, our leaders need to know that this is happening, and there has to be a call to action from the
That's
pulpit.
true.
We have to speak. And parents, I also believe that parents will have a lot of work to do. So you see
Very
your
true.
son, the way it speaks to the sister, it talks to the sister, and you say, oh, it's just being a boy. It's just being a boy. You will get over it. The other day I was speaking to a few of my teenagers. So we were asked to, we're trying to arrange a particular environment where we wanted to hold a meeting. And the boys stood back while the girls were carrying chairs. And I insisted, I said, no, ladies, go
That's
back.
right.
Boys, go and arrange those chairs. This is how
That's
you're going to
right.
carry this attitude into your home and believe
That's
that it
true.
is my right to be in charge. It is my right to be
To be
served.
served.
It is my right to rule. So, parents, we need to begin to spot these qualities, the signs, and do something about it.
That's true.
Let's not pretend as if this is Africa. I know it's normal. It's okay to
That's
do that.
true. That's true.
Unfortunately, our time is fast spent. But Reverend Doctor, I'm going to beg you for 2-3 minutes so we can wrap this up.
That's fine. That's
Right.
fine.
So we have a couple of questions that I want us to just look at them together, and I'm going to project them. Somebody says, let's talk about the rules and regulations for Holy Communion. I think we've talked about that. We can influence what other people do. You can
That's
change
right.
people um regulations, doctrines, but you can decide what you
That's
want to
right.
subject yourself to. Nobody has a right to abuse
Correct.
you if you're not, if you
Without
don't
your
put yourself in
consent.
that country. Yeah. And so I think that yes, we may not be able to control what others do, but you can control your reaction, what you
That's
take,
right.
what you accept as a person. Now the next person says, what do you think about deal breakers in relationships or marriages? Should there be absolutely no reason to break it, or limits should be communicated?
I
I
don't
believe this.
understand that question.
So I believe this person is trying to say that what do you see that would be a deal breaker in your relationship? So, for example, maybe some signs they say, you know what,
Okay.
I can't deal with this. I'm not ready to put
Okay.
myself in it. So, I think that's what this question is about. Please go ahead
Okay.
and 30
Hmm.
seconds.
Well, first and foremost, there are many deal breakers, right? First, when someone, for instance, infidelity, persistent infidelity, you see, someone makes a mistake once, twice, we can go for counseling, we can do all of those things. But when it becomes a normal thing, say anything that affects your life, when I say your life, that is a matter of life and death. You know what infidelity does, right? Many women have gotten this incurable STDs, incurable, painful STDs because their husbands are hopping all over the place. Now, I may not be able to stop you from hopping, but I'm not going to put myself in harm's way and act as if STDs don't whatever, especially when the person refuses to change. Number two, physical abuse. Oh my, from slap. Even one slap is enough. Now, one slap is not enough for divorce, but one slap is enough to say, I'm not
Help.
going to wait until it becomes two slaps. I'm going to escalate things. I'm
Hmm.
going to make noise and I'm going to escalate it, right?
Hmm.
But I think the most important thing is when someone does not have a break. What I mean by that is no accountability. We have gone here, nobody can talk to you. And the
Hmm.
person persists in their way.
Hmm.
Then I can't control your will, but I can control my own environment. I'm not going
Thank
to
you.
expose myself to harm's way because
Hmm.
anything that threatens your life then is a deal breaker. And
Thank you.
there's
So,
no hope for
hmm,
reconciliation or for change. It's a deal breaker.
fantastic. Thank you so much. So I remember that, in fact, one of the things I tell singles regularly is that the number one, apart from being your the person you are looking at to marry, being born again, have a purpose, is that does this person has a mentor? If you are engaged someone
Accountability.
who is not accountable to anybody,
Hmm.
it is a
It's
deal
a red
breaker.
flag.
It is a red flag, exactly. So I think this conversation must be held with the singles that yes, you're in a relationship, but this guy, this lady doesn't have accountability. There's nobody on earth
That can
that can
talk to
speak to
them.
this person. I think it's something we need to really, really speak about and really extrail and ventilate to our singles so they will know that you cannot but put yourself in that kind of relationship.
That's
It's going to
right.
cause a huge problem. Thank you very much.
That's
So I
right.
had a conversation, and we're rounding off now. I had a conversation in my office recently, and someone said, a guy said, we're talking about abuse. And the guy said, he said, do you know that there are women who would query their husband's love if he doesn't beat them?
Yeah,
Some
I
women
agree.
believe that a sign of love from their husband is actually being beaten by their
I
husband.
know a woman
Can
that
you
said,
speak to
I
that?
cannot marry a man that cannot beat me.
Can you talk about the psychology behind that? Behind that, why would
She's
someone?
broken. She's emotionally broken to pieces. She has no self worth. She has no
Hmm,
self esteem. She has no regard for herself. Do you
hmm,
understand? And
hmm,
that's why she feels like I'm probably that's her programming. That's what
hmm,
she saw. That's what was modeled to her. So
hmm,
getting into a relationship, she feels like, this is what is supposed to happen.
hmm,
So she has no value for herself. And
hmm,
that's really, I mean, that's just it. When a woman has value for herself, really, she doesn't put herself in harm's way. She doesn't
hmm,
put herself even in a position. When
hmm,
someone becomes self-aware, when someone begins to grow and become self-aware, somehow you begin to question things.
hmm.
But a woman that says if a man cannot beat me, she needs psychiatric checkup. She's
Exactly.
broken beyond beyond repairs. She now needs
Thank you.
psychiatric evaluation.
Yes, and the
She's
final
sick.
question here, yeah, thank you, PR. The final question here says, how long should a couple be separated? How long? So, for example,
Hmm.
we're talking about abuse and then we're talking about physical abuse. So, take yourself out of that relationship first so you get help from the outside. So, this person is asking, how long?
until there is change. And the law in Nigeria, at least, says after I think 2 or 3 years, divorce can now become a consideration. But
Mm.
if I'm not going to go back because you say sorry,
Mm.
I'm going to observe you from a distance. Sometimes in saying sorry becomes a fight too, because a woman will
Mm.
be a woman. I can't just say you are sorry, so you beat me up, then say you're
Mm.
sorry. No, I'm not. You need counseling. You need help. Go get help. If you're not willing to get help, I'm not willing to come back, because it's going to repeat itself. So the
Mm.
first thing, I know you're sorry, that's fine. But the next thing is go get help. Go get help. If he's willing to get help and then he goes through the process and he's done with the process, and we now begin to relate from a distance, and we see that you have really, then there are certain, you are now accountable, there are
Mm.
certain things in place, then I can consider coming back. But if after that time, 2 years, 3 years, there's still no, you're still venting, you're still angry, you have not changed in any way, I'm not coming back, then I may consider, divorce. Because I'm also not going to tie my life down. It's not my fault. I'm not going to tie
Mm.
my life down. But I see that it's not going to work because
Mm.
this person has not changed and is not
Mm.
willing to change. There's no point.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, RD. And with that, we have come to the end of today's conversation. And I want to
Wow.
take this moment to say a big thank you, Hardy, for being part of tonight's chat with PMK. And I want to believe that every of our audience have had one or two things, lessons to take away from this conversation and to also share with other people. So
That's
the
right.
lesson learned today is not just for you alone. There are women and men out there who are going through horrible things.
That's right.
And it is our responsibility as people who have been empowered, who have placed faith in Jesus Christ, to take this message out there, to share with other people, encourage them so they can be liberated, they can get
That's
help
right.
properly, and they can begin to blossom and become
That's
who
right.
God has created them to be. And for other audiences who will be joining and rewatching this video later on, I want to say that the Lord also will bless you and use you for
Amen.
his good. Thank you so much,
Amen.
Ari. Did you have a final thought before we close this conversation tonight?
I will say, if you're a woman and you're being abused or not, find yourself. If you're single, I'll start from single then married. If you're single, I'll say find yourself before you find a mate. Discover yourself. Grow first before you can't make decisions. You can't make good decisions if you're not in an empowered position. So the
Mm,
first thing is get empowered, grow yourself, discover yourself, become self-aware, discover
mm,
yourself, have a vision before you get into a
mm,
relationship. If you're in a relationship, I will still say get empowered, get economically empowered. Women, have your money, make your
mm,
money. You know what making money is? First of all, it's good that you have money, that you don't have to be asking for money, that you are bringing something. You are not a liability, you are an asset.
and- yeah.
Assets are not kicked around, liabilities
Mm,
may be kicked around, right?
mm,
But become an asset. Start earning, get empowered, right? If
mm,
you get empowered, I'm telling you, 50% of the problem will be solved, because you will know
mm,
how to make decisions, you know how to evaluate situations, you know the next step and what to do, and even how to hold things up. So I'll say, please, women, get empowered, grow,
mm,
break this religious mindset in your head. Your life is
mm,
more valuable than marriage. It's only the living that can be married. If you're being
mm,
abused, open up. There are agencies right now in Nigeria. Thank God for that. There are agencies that you can report to, and it
mm,
doesn't mean divorce, that will get involved and keep an eye. Once a person, the spouse, knows that the agencies are aware, it's like it's like forcing accountability on your marriage. It will be difficult for you to do the same thing, that eyes are now on you. So please
mm.
stop hiding abuse. Stop keeping quiet. Open up, because you may be saving somebody else. And understand, you may also have daughters that are also
Mm,
watching how you are behaving and how you're being
mm,
treated. Let's
mm,
not pass batons, let's not pass battles to the next generation. Let's pass batons of liberation, batons of
mm.
victory, batons
That's
of
it.
love and peace and
Mm,
wholeness to our
mm,
daughters coming after us. That's all I have to
mm.
say. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Pastor Mary, and
Thank you,
thank you to all my
RD.
people that
Ladies
showed up
and
today as well. I
gentlemen,
love you guys.
let's welcome and say a big thank you to RD tonight. Just drop your emoji. I'm sure she's seeing them. Welcome, make her feel loved, make her feel appreciated. Just drop
Thank
your
you.
emoji. Thank you so much,
Thank
RD,
you.
again for coming tonight. We are so grateful. Thank you for
Thank you
being
for
part
having
of.
me, for
Yes,
inviting me.
we're gonna bring you back quickly as soon as possible and ensure we have a second part of this conversation. I'm
Awesome.
sure that our audience will love to have you back. And we also appreciate God for what He's using you to do in the body of Christ, how He's
Thank
using
God.
you to bring His kingdom. And we pray that may your ears remain close to the Father's heart so that you
Amen.
remain relevant in the scheme of affairs. Thank you
Amen.
again for coming tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this show tonight and hope to see you
We
again.
have
Our
to
next show,
celebrate the men. I saw
yes,
some men now. We have
yes,
to
yes.
celebrate the men. We honor you. We love
Man,
you. We appreciate you for being here tonight. God bless
yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. RD has celebrated our men in the house, and we're so glad that you could make it here. Thank you for being part of this conversation. And I pray that God will keep us going. By the grace of God, the last episode for the year will be airing on December 14. And I hope to see you all there as we look at another interesting topic that will change our lives, position us for purpose for the new year, and empower us to become all that the Father has in store for us. Thank you again, everyone, for being part of tonight. And until next time, and I come your way, God bless you. Bye. Love you all. Bye.